Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so two more prospects to talk about. One being Rafael Castro, 6'10", 224, out of George Washington. That school is in D.C. And I don't think I'd ever heard of George Washington. Definitely didn't know where it was until this morning. And also did homework on Malik Brown, power forward out of Duke, 6'9", 217-pound power forward. Who want to do homework on first? Who should we talk about first? Let's talk about Castro first. He's the one I have the least information on in regards to the two of them. It's hard to find stuff on guys that went to the schools that are smaller. It just is what it is, man. I think that's what I take away from this before even getting into the conversation. There's one guy that goes to the big school, other guy that goes to the small school, kind of in the same draft range. The guy that went to the big school, I was able to find tons of information on. The guys that went to the small school, I was barely able to find any information on. I think you take that as you do. I think the smaller schools are going to have to make it worthwhile to some of these guys by just doing more content on them, having them showcase a bit better. Because Duke, boy, the way that they were promoting their guy was like, I watched information on him last night, this morning, like it was so much there. And so I barely got highlights of Rafael Castro. I saw a 45-minute video of him sitting down with some guys and got a good chance to see his personality. That was really cool. But like, I didn't walk away from that really understanding his game as much as I feel like I need to really tell y'all as much about him as I'd like to. And so, yeah, I know he's from initially Dover, New Jersey, but his folks are Dominican. And we can get into the numbers. I think the numbers are pretty impressive. The highlights that I saw were fairly impressive. I saw a lot of his information from when he went to Providence. I saw some highlights from him from Providence, his first 2 years there, and then second 2 years with George Washington. But this is an impressive guy. I know my Lakers have already worked him out. This is one of the reasons why I put a little priority on finding out who this was. He's a senior, of course, as mentioned, 23 years of age on draft day. So, of course, he's going to be in the second round, docked for his age as usual. I really like what I saw for the most part. At first, it was like I wasn't really seeing the vision. The highlights weren't really as flattering as I would like them to have been. But when I dug into the numbers and started digging into more of the highlights, I started understanding what he brings to the table. Per 36 minutes, he averaged 20 points, 2.5 turnovers, 2.3 steals, 2.3 blocks, 2.0 assists, and 12.0 rebounds. So this is a productive player on both sides of the floor. Shooting 66% from the free throw line, 62% from the field. No percentage available from three, which means I don't think he took any threes at all. In his college career, he did not shoot the ball at all. True shooting rate, .645, which is good. Effective field goal percentage, .627, which is very good. Free throw rate, attempt rate rather, .762, which is really good. So like the stats are really impressive. Not a whole lot of red here at all. 31% from the NBA three-point range. I don't know how you gather that without any attempts. I don't know if this is just a glitch on his three-point percentages, but it says he would shoot 31% from the NBA range. How you get to that number, I do not see how. Usage rate percentage, 24.2. Assist usage rate, 0.51, which is good. Assist to turnover ratio, 0.89. All of this is good. All of this is really good. The numbers like this guy a lot. His PER is 30.3, also very good. Offensive win shares, 0.141. Defensive win shares, 0.096. Win shares per 40, 0.237. Offensive rating, 127.6. Defensive rating, 96.2. Offensive blocks plus minus 6.1, defensive box plus minus 3.4, and box plus minus total 9.5. The stats love this guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. The only thing that was even remotely red here was his three-point attempt ratio, which means he didn't attempt any threes, and his defensive rating was 96.2, which is slightly below average. Everything else is either average or above. So this is a stats darling, basically. Excellent steals player. Free throw attempt rate is what you're going for. He's going to get fouled. He doesn't foul very much. So this is a really nice player, man. And the stats are somewhat impressive as well, as you can clearly see from the averages. I mean, he's basically averaging a double-double with some blocks and some steals. Like, very, very productive basketball player. I like what the Lakers are doing by bringing a guy like this in, man. When you look at these numbers, you have to be impressed with what you're seeing here. I know he probably didn't do this against the best schools in the world, you know what I mean? Given the fact that he went to a smaller school, it wasn't like he was playing the elite. And he is a senior, so, you know, you wonder about the upside per se. But if you're talking about bringing in a two-way talent at the 4 spot who can probably play some 5 as well, decent size, did good on the combine stuff, 36.5 vert, which is good, 11.42 lane drill, solid, 2.93 shuttle drill, good, sprint 3.2, good. Now his hand and length and all of that didn't really impress. 9.0 hand length, 9.0 hand width, 1.5 standing reach, and 7'1" wingspan. 7'1" wingspan on anybody is impressive. I don't give a damn what you're talking about. But as it pertains to his height versus wingspan, it wasn't above average. But when you start talking about being in the sky like that with a guy with a 36-inch vert, a 7'1" wingspan is excellent. And he's blocking shots and stealing the ball. So I just don't see why a guy who's 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan would be considered undersized wingspan. I don't get that. But what I will say is I'm impressed. This dude's good. Bottom line is I think the floor is rock solid. I think this guy's going to come in and be productive for a team. Like I said, I didn't get enough from the highlights to really be able to be as confident in what I'm saying. But the numbers are glaring. They speak for themselves. This is an extremely impressive and productive basketball player from a number standpoint. 4 years of college, he knows what he's doing. He knows who he is. He stays within his means. Now, if he can't attempt threes, there's going to be some spacing issues potentially. Maybe at 6'10", you may wonder if you want to play him at the 5 all the time. When you start going up against some of these bigger size 5s, he's kind of a tweener. He has the height that makes sense, but the weight at 224, not being a shooting center, kind of puts a little bit of a cap on what you think the versatility of the player could ultimately be. But I'm confident if you slap him in the second units, he's going to be able to do what he did in college in the pros. You can find a role for a guy like this. You just got to make sure shooting's on the floor around him, playmakers on the floor around him. But he's going to be producing on both sides of the floor. He's going to rebound like crazy, and you know he's going to do things that help you. 62% from the field. That is really, really good. He's not missing much of anything that he's tossing up. So I like this player, man. I like this player a lot. Rafael Castro, I think the NBA's got it right being curious about this guy in the second round. I believe he'll be drafted. And this is why I say it's important to have second-round picks if you're a team like the Lakers, because you see a guy like Rafael Castro, you want him on your team, but you're not going to take him at 25. So you watch him go to a different team. You know what I mean? It's that type of stuff. There are so many guys in this second round that as a Laker fan I would be very excited about. Even after all the people that pulled out, the more I start digging into the depth of this draft and the undrafted market, the more I realize, there are guys down there that I love as role players. I may not think of them as stars, but you're talking about trying to put together a championship team. I see a handful of high-level role players that I expect to have 10, 12, 15-year careers. Rafael Castro, I believe, with the little that I've seen, can be that type of guy. He's going to be around. I think the floor is safe. I think you should draft him. I really do. He's expected to go second round, 26 range of the second round. That's good value, I think. I think that's very good value, especially for a guy that doesn't have too many weaknesses at all. One of the biggest weaknesses, his biggest weakness is his age. If your biggest weakness is your age in the draft, I'd say you're somebody who should be drafted for certain. It's a lot to like here, and I'm big on Rafael Castro, man. I think he's going to be a problem. Well-conditioned, big man that runs the floor well, can catch lobs, block shots, steal the ball, not turn it over too much, not foul too much, get fouled, hit his free throws, all of that. Man, come on now. Hit most of his shots, good touch around the rim. Man, what are we talking about? If that ain't a pro, I don't know what he is. All right. Moving on from Rafael Castro into another player that I'm super high on, Malik Brown. Malik Brown is awesome as well. The thing about Malik Brown, though, is the numbers are not impressive on Brown's side of things. He's more of the Draymond Green, Boris Diaw, Jared Vanderbilt mold. That's who he's one of those guys, but he is also extremely strong in the areas he's strong in. And in Duke, they worship this guy. They had him for 2 years. He was at Syracuse for 2 years. I saw the highlights from Syracuse days, and I was able to watch all 4 years, all 4 highlights. It was only 10 minutes long from each, because really what he does doesn't really show up in the box sheet. But the eye test tells you that this is a extremely intelligent basketball player on both sides of the floor. Some of the quickest hands you're going to find in the draft. One of the very best passers you're going to find in the entire draft. That's why I compare him to a Draymond Green or a Boris Diaw, because you got a guy who is 6'9", 217, who essentially is a connective piece on both sides of the floor. On the defensive end, he's going to be the smartest defensive player. On the offensive end, he's basically an engine that makes others better. That's Draymond if I ever seen him. Now, he's not as big as Draymond. He's not as aggressive scoring the ball as Draymond. But some of that super hyper-computer stuff on both sides of the floor, that's Malik Brown. That is exactly who Malik Brown is. I walk away from Malik Brown thinking that he's going to play in this league for 15 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has a Bruce Bowen-type career. That type of role player that's part of a championship situation, Draymond Green-type career. Even though I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, because I don't think he's aggressive enough. From what I saw, he's not naturally aggressive enough to be that type of player, but he can definitely be a high-level, mainstay, culture-defining role player. He was the leader of the Duke team. Both years, these last 2 years, they said basically he was the heart and soul of the team. You're talking about years where they had Boozer running the show, and years that had Cooper Flagg, two of the best collegiate players we've seen come through Duke in the history of Duke. He was on the team playing with both of them. You talk about Con Knipple as well. He was on the team with Con. He's played with pros, and he made them better. He made them better on both sides of the floor. This is a very, very underrated basketball player. And the Duke fans love him. When I looked in the comment section, somebody had said that this is the greatest basketball player to have ever played the game. And it had like 100 likes on it. Like it's obviously a joke, but it's not, because they think of him that highly. They love him that much. So let's get into the numbers here. He's from Culpeper, Virginia. Grew up a Duke fan. Like I said, I was able to watch so much information on him. It was crazy. I saw like hours and hours of stuff on this guy. I walk away feeling great about him. 34-inch vertical, 11.22 on the lane drill, 3.5 on the shuttle drill, and 3.7 on the sprint. He was 3.7 on the sprint, was well above average. The rest of that stuff was considered average, but he's fast. The boy fast. His hand length was 8.75, which is below average, and 9.0 width, which is below average. But the irony is that he has some of the best hands in the world. He has some of the quickest hands in the world. He is the deflection king. No one in college basketball deflected more passes than this man last season. He is the best defender basically in college basketball, and has been for a couple years. I think of a guy like, what's his name, Ryan, I can't think of my man's last name. I think it's Ryan something of the Suns. That's who comes to mind immediately. I can't think of his name. I think it's Ryan something. But they drafted him, 2 years ago? One of the best defenders we'd ever seen. Yeah, this guy comes to mind as well. He's like that when it comes to college basketball. A role player, but a superstar in his role. And, let's get into the numbers. 8.8 points per game. He doesn't shoot enough. And that's what they were saying. And one of his coaches was saying to him in a sit-down where I was watching a film study on this kid. His coach was essentially telling him, or one of the assistant coaches, whoever it was that was interviewing him, that represented the coaching staff, was essentially saying, man, I want you to score more. You can shoot. You just don't be trying to. When it's time to do things that ultimately get the ball into the hoop, you're looking to pass too much, and you have the skills. He's 62% from the field. So everything he's doing is a two-hand jam, pretty much. He's dunking with two hands every time, laying the ball up. He has this what's the word? The ability to improv in midair. See him doing up and under, stuff like that. But he doesn't really go to it too much. He just kind of does it at random, and the rest of the game, he's looking to just be a connective piece on some Lonzo Ball stuff. Just get the ball to where it needs to go and make the right play. I worry with him that if I don't have enough people on the floor doing the fancy stuff, that we won't have enough of that stuff being done. Malik Brown can win a basketball game where the team scores a season low. You know what I mean? Because he's done so many of the different things within the margins and played such fantastic defense that he can help hold your team, the opponent rather, to their season low. But because he's not scoring at all, they probably only won by one, and they scored like 75. He scored 76, and he won. Like, that's the type of thing. So you need people on the floor that are going to do the fancy stuff. If you have a bunch of Malik Browns, you're not going to score very much. The other team won't either, but he's not going to be aggressive enough scoring the ball to really make a dent in it. And that's essentially the knock on him. That's why he's not a lottery pick, because he's just not aggressive enough scoring the ball, even though he should be able to. His three-point shot is not great, but it ain't terrible. He did shoot 16% from behind the arc. And, I think that the eye test tells me that it's going to be a work in progress, but I think from what I saw, it can fall. It can fail. So he can work on that. It's not like he's so deficient that he'll never be able to hit the shot. I actually don't think it's that serious. 62% from the field, as I mentioned, 0.629 from the field, 2.1 turnovers, 3.2 steals. Deflection king. I don't know that you're going to find anybody that deflects the ball as much as this guy. He's immediately coming in. He's going to be one of the best at that. One of the quickest hands in the NBA, maybe, immediately. 1.1 block. You want to see him get better there. 2.9 assists, which is actually pretty good. And like I said, he's a passer. So it's really, that stat doesn't do the job in actually describing what he's doing out there. The passes that he makes are pinpoint. He's a damn quarterback out there. Like, some of them passes that he made, you're like, dog, you could have been a pitcher. Like, that's how accurate his passing is, with the velocity and accuracy and rhythm of some of your favorite point guards. He is going to come into the NBA one of the more gifted passers that doesn't play the point, that doesn't play the point forward. You know what I mean? Draymond, basically. But maybe even more naturally gifted as it pertains to pinpoint pass accuracy. This dude is gifted at that. I'm telling you, like, gifted. 9.2 rebounds, he rebounds the ball solid. But like I said, the stats just don't tell the story. He's out there setting good screens, deflecting basketballs, helping properly, stunting and all of this different stuff as well as anybody. He's reading what the defense is doing. He's a video junkie, from what I understand, which is always a good trait when you're talking about basketball players and coaches. This guy loves to watch film on his opponents, and he loves to do what ultimately works against his homework. A very, very well-prepared basketball player, basically a machine of a mind on the basketball floor. I think this guy has a future in coaching or a future in some type of front office stuff 20 years from now if he's a GM of a team or something like that, or some type of head coach. That's basically what I'm telling you I expect. Like, he's a machine of a mind. He really is. And on both sides of the floor, he's gonna be an extension of the coach. I absolutely walk away from this player thinking that J.J. Redick is going to love this player if we somehow put him on this team, Lakers. I don't think we're gonna get him. I don't anticipate the Lakers being interested in Malik Brown, but this is a dookie who's highly intelligent, very well articulated, and I just get the feeling that he and J.J. Redick are going to bounce ideas off one another back and forth, unlike a lot of what you see very often. I think this kid, he should know J.J. He should know him. Just a hunch. The only thing is, Malik is kind of like Vanderbilt, so it's going to be some of the same issues if you try to incorporate him into this system, and I think that's where they will part ways, in a sense that I think J.J. will see this as who he wants Vanderbilt to be, but ultimately have some of the same deficiencies, unfortunately. But Malik Brown is like, he's like basically another Vando, but a bit more talented, a lot better in offensive situations, as to where Vanderbilt struggles with open court situations at times. You try to pass him the ball, it goes out of bounds. He's kind of offensively deficient. Malik Brown is the opposite. He's very gifted at catching the ball. He's very gifted at reading the floor. He's very good at making sure the ball goes in the hoop when he does attempt a shot. He rarely makes mistakes in that regard. He's like the anti-Vando. And then on the defensive end, he's like basically Vando. So, yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Malik Brown. I want him to develop more aggressiveness in the scoring column. At least get yourself up to double-digit scoring to justify putting you in more rotations that don't involve having super scorers on the floor. When you talk about guys that help make up for other people's deficiencies, who do I want playing with my 6'4", non-passing, scoring shooting guard that I'm going to find in the second round? I want Malik Brown next to this guy. You know what I mean? That guy that's duplicated 4 or 5 times in the second round that I've been telling you about that I don't really like that much. I want Malik Brown playing with those people because he's going to make the passes they don't make. He's going to defend in areas they may not be able to defend. He's going to get them the ball in rhythm. That's who needs to be on the floor to make that player pop. Yeah, man. Yeah, Malik Brown's one of the ones. I'm telling you. Yes, does he belong in the second round? Based on everything that we understand, I believe he does belong in the second round. But do I think he's going to be around 12 years from now as to where some of these first-round guys ain't going to be around? Yes, absolutely. He's going to be in the NBA 12 years from now. 1,000%. Yes. He's going to make it to the NBA, and he's going to stick around for a long time. He may not have a Hall of Fame career. I don't doubt that he probably has somewhere around a Bruce Bowen, Boris Diaw type of career. I think that's kind of where the ceiling's at. Role player, strong-level role player. Vanderbilt, that's who he is. But he's going to be around. Why is he going to be around? He's going to be one of the smartest players on the floor, one of the best prepared players on the floor, and he's going to make others better on both sides of the floor. So that's really what it comes down to. I am certain this is a guy, if you draft him, you're going to have him on your team for a while. You're not going to necessarily want to trade him. You ain't going to even want to get him out of certain lineups. You're just going to want him to have a mainstay role on your team for a long time. That's what I think. I think that's exactly what I think. I wouldn't be surprised if Malik Brown plays for one organization his entire career. It wouldn't shock me at all because that's the type of player he appears to be. Needs to get better from the free throw line. Not good there. 50% from the line, that could really hurt. But like I said many times, he ain't really doing too much that would make it so that you have him at the line too often. His free throw attempt rate is .258, so he's not getting there very often. He's not shooting them very often. .167 for the three-point percentage. So like I said, he's not shooting them. When he does shoot them, they're not going in. But to the eye test, the ones that he shot, he can hit a set shot. He's going to have to work on that a lot to make himself really effective in the NBA. .629 field goal percentage, said that already. Definitely love that. Advanced stats, .634